Welcome to Hero Villains. Determining the winner in a battle between Thor, the god of thunder of Asgard, and Skeletor, the lord of destruction from the planet Eternia in the Masters of the universe, means comparing two vastly different forces. On one side is divine power tempered through millennia of warfare across the realms. On the other is dark magic forged through the ambition to seize absolute power and endless resentment. Thor represents honor, courage, and the responsibility to protect all living beings, while Skeletor is the embodiment of madness, the desire for absolute power, and contempt for every living creature. Both have faced enemies on a cosmic level, both have touched sources of power capable of reshaping reality, and both carry deep psychological wounds that influence the way they fight. Therefore, to reach a fair and accurate verdict, we need to move beyond superficial comparisons and delve into the true nature of each character's power.
First is Thor, the god of thunder of Asgard. Thor Odinson is the son of Odin, the All-Father and King of Asgard, one of the 9 realms connected by the world tree Yggdrasil. Thor's mother is Jord, the goddess of the earth, which gives him the blood of both Asgard and Midgard, creating a unique connection to both the divine world and the mortal realm. From the moment he was born, Thor was destined to become the protector of Asgard and all living beings, a warrior whom even the ancient gods had reason to fear. However, the path to becoming a worthy god of thunder was never easy. Young Thor was arrogant, hot-tempered, and eager for battle, forcing Odin to strip him of his powers and send him to Midgard in mortal form to teach him a lesson in humility. This experience shaped the Thor we know today, a great warrior who also possesses a kind heart and compassion for those who are weaker than himself. Thor's iconic weapon is Mjolnir, the enchanted hammer forged from the core of a dying star by the dwarves Eitri, Brock, and Buri. Mjolnir is not merely a weapon, but a living entity, enchanted by Odin with the famous spell declaring that only those who are worthy may lift it. The hammer allows Thor to control thunder and lightning, create storms capable of destroying an entire planet, open portals through space between the 9 realms, and unleash energy blasts with destructive power comparable to the explosion of a star. When Mjolnir was destroyed during the events of Original Sin, Thor proved that his power did not lie in his weapon, but within himself, as he continued to fight and became even more powerful than before. Later, Stormbreaker, the enchanted axe forged from the same material as Mjolnir but possessing greater power, became Thor's new weapon, allowing him to summon the Bifrost and access sources of energy that even Mjolnir could not reach. Thor's physical strength is among the highest levels. Under normal conditions, he can lift more than 100 tons, and that number increases many times over when he unleashes his full divine power. He has held the weight of a neutron star on his shoulders for days at a time, a feat that even cosmic entities would have to respect. Thor's durability allows him to withstand attacks from celestials, colossal beings with the power to reshape galaxies without being injured. He has survived being thrown into the core of a star, being struck by the power of the Phoenix Force, and even being torn apart by the power of abstract entities such as those who sit above in shadow. Thor's speed, while not matching that of Silver Surfer or Quicksilver, is still sufficient for him to react to attacks traveling at light speed. And when riding the chariot pulled by the 2 divine goats, Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder, he can travel between the realms in an instant. Thor's ability to control weather and thunder is one of his most terrifying powers. He can summon planet-sized storms, create lightning hotter than the surface of the sun, and control wind, rain, and frost at will. At his highest level, Thor can unleash the God Blast, a burst of pure energy generated from his own divine life force, with enough destructive power to injure beings on the level of a celestial. He can also use lightning to enhance his physical strength, create electromagnetic fields for defense or offense, and even manipulate the weather on a multiversal scale. One of Thor's most powerful abilities is his access to the Odin Force, also known as the Thor Force, when he inherits the throne of Asgard. The Odin Force is the primordial energy of Asgard, accumulated over billions of years and serving as the foundation of Odin's power. When Thor activates the Odin Force, he becomes an almost omnipotent entity, capable of manipulating reality, bending space and time, creating and destroying dimensions, and even rewriting history. During Ragnarok, Thor used the Odin Force to break the cycle of destruction and rebirth that had consumed Asgard, rewriting the fate of an entire civilization. In his Rune King Thor form, after sacrificing one eye in exchange for knowledge of the runes and hanging himself from Yggdrasil for 9 days and 9 nights, Thor reached a level of power far beyond that of any Asgardian god. He could see every thread of fate and manipulate them according to his will. Thor's battles with formidable enemies have shaped his legend. His first battle, and one of the defining battles of his legendary history, was his confrontation with Jormungandr, the world serpent, one of Loki's children and Thor's eternal enemy according to the prophecy of Ragnarok. Throughout their many encounters, Thor fought Jormungandr on a scale capable of shaking all 9 realms. And even knowing that, according to prophecy, they would both die in the final battle, Thor never backed down. He once killed Jormungandr with a single strike of his hammer, despite enduring the serpent's venom and nearly losing his life. His battle with Surtur, the Lord of Fire of Muspelheim, was one of the greatest challenges Thor ever faced. Surtur possessed the Twilight Sword, a weapon capable of destroying Yggdrasil and bringing about Ragnarok. In their many encounters, Thor had to use the full extent of his power, combined with the help of the Asgardian warriors and sometimes even Odin, to stop Surtur. During the final Ragnarok, Thor confronted Surtur alone, using the Odin Force to seal him away and save Asgard from complete destruction. Thor's confrontation with Hela, the goddess of death of Asgard, was also an important chapter in his history of battle. Hela rules Hel and Niflheim, the 2 realms of the dead, and possesses the power to take the life of any living being within the reach of her abilities. Thor has confronted Hela many times to save the souls of those he loves, and although he could not kill her completely, he proved that the will of a god could overcome even death. Thor fought Hela in his God of Thunder form, using thunder and lightning to tear through her armies of the undead and force her to retreat. His battle with the Celestials is the clearest testament to Thor's cosmic level of power. The Celestials are colossal beings who have existed since the dawn of the universe, possessing the ability to create and destroy galaxies at will. When the Celestials threatened Earth, Thor stood against them, and although he was overwhelmed in terms of raw power, he used the God Blast and the power of Mjolnir to injure a Celestial, a feat that very few beings in the universe could accomplish. During the Avengers vs. X-Men event, Thor also confronted the Phoenix Force, a cosmic entity representing life and death. And although he was defeated, he proved that an Asgardian god could stand on equal footing with some of the most primordial forces in the universe. However, Thor is not without weaknesses. His greatest weakness lies within his heart. His love for Jane Foster, his loyalty to Asgard, and his responsibility to protect Midgard can sometimes cause Thor to hesitate at crucial moments. He is unwilling to sacrifice innocent lives to achieve victory, and this often gives his enemies an opportunity to strike back. In addition, his youthful arrogance, although largely restrained, occasionally resurfaces, causing Thor to underestimate his enemies or rush into battle without a plan. Mjolnir, despite being an immensely powerful weapon, can also be a potential weakness, because if Thor is separated from his weapon, he loses a significant portion of his offensive power, even though he himself remains a formidable warrior.
I really hope you will subscribe to the channel. It would help us tremendously, and you are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much.
Now, let's move on to Skeletor, the Lord of Destruction of Eternia. Skeletor, also known by his real name, Keldor, is the main villain and the eternal enemy of He-Man in the Masters of the Universe universe. Hailing from the planet Eternia, a world where magic and ancient technology intertwine to create a civilization unlike any other, Skeletor is the embodiment of limitless ambition and madness fueled by centuries of failure. With a bare skull instead of a face, pale blue skin, and eyes glowing brightly from his empty sockets, Skeletor is a sight that makes every living creature tremble in fear. However, behind that terrifying appearance lies a sharp intellect, profound knowledge of magic, and an unyielding will that refuses to surrender. Keldor was once a talented warrior and sorcerer, the younger brother of King Randor, the father of He-Man. However, driven by his ambition for power and his jealousy toward his brother, Keldor sought dark power from forbidden sources. In an attempt to seize power from an ancient entity, a sealed source of magic, Keldor was permanently transformed, losing his face and becoming Skeletor, a half-living, half-dead entity with terrifying magical power, but also carrying endless pain and resentment. This transformation was not merely physical, but spiritual as well, turning Keldor into someone who had nothing left to lose except his desire to seize Castle Grayskull and the power within it. Castle Grayskull is at the center of all of Skeletor's ambitions. This ancient fortress contains the power of Eternia, a primordial source of energy capable of transforming whoever possesses it into the most powerful entity in the universe. He-Man, wielding the Power Sword, which was transformed from the Sword of Grayskull, is the protector of Castle Grayskull, and this is what created the bitter and eternal feud between him and Skeletor. For thousands of years, Skeletor has carried out countless plans to seize Castle Grayskull, from direct attacks to deception, from using dark magic to summoning ancient entities, but he has always been stopped by He-Man and his allies. However, with every failure, Skeletor becomes stronger, more insane, and more determined. Skeletor's magical abilities are incredibly diverse and terrifying. He is a master of necromancy, capable of summoning and controlling the dead, creating armies of undead that obey his command. He can unleash blasts of dark energy from the Havoc Staff, his iconic magical staff, with enough destructive power to tear through even the strongest fortress walls. Skeletor's teleportation ability allows him to instantly move between locations, giving him a tactical advantage in any confrontation. He can also shapeshift, create illusions, manipulate minds, and even travel between dimensions. Skeletor has demonstrated the ability to manipulate time, creating time loops to imprison his enemies or reversing time to alter the outcome of a battle. The Havoc Staff is Skeletor's primary weapon and the main amplifier of his magical power. The staff is not merely a tool for firing energy, but also a living magical entity capable of absorbing and converting different forms of energy. When combined with Skeletor's innate power, the Havoc Staff can create magical explosions with destructive force comparable to weapons of mass destruction, generate protective force fields capable of withstanding physical and energy attacks, and even open portals to other dimensions. Physically, Skeletor cannot compare to Thor or He-Man in terms of pure muscular strength. However, his half-living, half-dead body provides him with unique advantages. He is almost immune to ordinary physical attacks because he has no internal organs that can be damaged. He can withstand injuries that would kill any living creature and continue fighting as though nothing had happened. He does not need to breathe, eat, or sleep, and he is immune to most toxins and diseases. Skeletor has demonstrated the ability to regenerate his body, reattach severed parts, and continue fighting. This makes him an incredibly difficult enemy to destroy, because even when you think you have defeated him, he can still return. Skeletor's intelligence and tactical abilities are among his most terrifying weapons. He is an exceptional strategist, always having multiple layers of backup plans and never putting all his eggs in one basket. He makes effective use of his minions, from Evil Lyn, the Dark Sorceress, and his closest ally, to Beastman, Trapjaw, Merman, and dozens of other warriors, each possessing unique abilities that serve his overall plans. Skeletor is also a master of psychological manipulation, knowing how to exploit the fears, doubts, and weaknesses of his enemies to gain an advantage. He has no qualms about using hostages, deception, or betraying his allies if it helps him move closer to his goal. Throughout thousands of confrontations, Skeletor has used every method imaginable to defeat He-Man, from direct attacks to kidnapping his loved ones, from using dark magic to summoning ancient entities. One of the most memorable battles was when Skeletor obtained half of the Power Sword and used it to amplify his magical power many times over. During the events of Masters of the Universe Revolution, Skeletor carried out one of his most ambitious plans, attempting to absorb the power of Castle Grayskull itself by using an ancient magical ritual. During this battle, Skeletor summoned hundreds of dark entities from other dimensions, creating a massive undead army that attacked Castle Grayskull from every direction. He used the Havoc Staff to create a field of dark energy surrounding the fortress, preventing any outside assistance from reaching it. He also fought Hordak, the Lord of the Horde, and, in some respects, an enemy even more dangerous than Skeletor himself. The battle between the two was a confrontation between two completely different styles of magic, Skeletor's pure dark magic against Hordak's combination of biotechnology and magic. Skeletor also confronted King Hiss, the king of the Snake Men, an ancient entity whose magical power had existed even before Castle Grayskull. However, Skeletor also has critical weaknesses. His greatest weakness is his madness. His obsession with conquering Castle Grayskull has caused Skeletor to lose his ability to think rationally in many situations. He often passes up opportunities to destroy He-Man completely because he wants to prove his superiority, or because he becomes obsessed with an unnecessarily complicated plan. His arrogance is another weakness, causing him to frequently underestimate his enemies and fail to prepare adequately for unexpected situations. In addition, despite possessing powerful magic, Skeletor still relies on the Havoc Staff as a source of amplification, and if he is separated from the staff, his power is significantly reduced. Now that we have analyzed both warriors in detail, this is a battle between thunder and darkness, between honor and madness, and a test to determine who will be the last one standing. When it comes to pure physical strength, Thor has an overwhelming advantage. The God of Thunder can lift hundreds of tons, withstand attacks from Celestials, and possesses almost limitless endurance. Skeletor, despite having a half-living, half-dead body that provides him with exceptional resilience, still cannot compare to Thor in terms of raw physical strength. In a physical one-on-one fight, Thor could easily crush Skeletor with blows from Mjolnir or Stormbreaker. However, Skeletor is not a close quarters fighter, and he would never allow the battle to unfold the way Thor wants. He would use teleportation to maintain his distance, unleash blasts of dark energy from the Havoc Staff, and use magic to create obstacles and traps designed to slow Thor's advance. In terms of energy abilities, both possess terrifying sources of power. Thor commands thunder and lightning, one of the most powerful forces of nature, combined with the divine power of Asgard. Skeletor uses dark magic, a supernatural source of energy capable of manipulating reality in ways that conventional physics cannot explain. When these two sources of energy collide, the outcome will depend on many factors, from the intensity of each attack to the defensive capabilities of both sides. Thor has the advantage in terms of raw, destructive power, as his God Blast is capable of injuring even Celestials. However, Skeletor's dark magic has the ability to bypass physical defenses and attack the soul directly, an aspect that Thor may not be fully prepared to deal with. Thor's Mjolnir or Stormbreaker are divine weapons capable of amplifying their wielder's power many times over, while also providing the ability to control thunder and lightning and open portals through space. Skeletor's Havoc Staff is also a powerful magical weapon, capable of absorbing and converting energy. But Mjolnir is not merely a physical weapon. It also carries the power of Odin, an entity operating on a far higher level than the sources of magic Skeletor normally encounters. Therefore, the likelihood of the Havoc Staff completely nullifying Mjolnir is very low. When it comes to combat experience, Thor has a clear advantage over Skeletor. Thor has fought for thousands of years, facing every type of enemy imaginable, from ordinary monsters to the highest level cosmic entities. He has fought during Ragnarok, the Infinity Gauntlet, Secret Wars, and countless other events. Thor's combat experience is not limited to physical confrontation. It also includes psychological battles, encounters with enemies who wield magic, and situations where raw power alone was not enough to achieve victory. Skeletor, although he has also fought for thousands of years, has primarily faced He-Man and his allies, who are generally still operating on a much lower power level than the entities Thor regularly confronts. However, Skeletor possesses one advantage that Thor often lacks: his brutality and complete absence of moral boundaries. Thor fights with honor. He never attacks an enemy once they have fallen, never uses hostages to achieve his goals, and never sacrifices innocent lives. Skeletor has none of these restrictions. He is willing to use every method imaginable, from kidnapping to torture, from deception to betrayal, to achieve victory. In a battle to the death, this difference could provide a decisive advantage. Skeletor would not hesitate to attack Thor's psychological weaknesses, using the images of Jane Foster, Asgard, or the people Thor loves to distract him. He would use illusions, mind manipulation, and every dirty trick at his disposal to gain an advantage. Tactically, Skeletor could have the upper hand at the beginning. He is a master planner and always has multiple layers of backup plans. If Skeletor knew in advance that he would have to face Thor, he would prepare thoroughly, study the God of Thunder's weaknesses, and create magical traps specifically designed to neutralize his thunder and lightning power. He could use magic to create an unfavorable battlefield for Thor, such as an environment without an atmosphere to reduce the effectiveness of his lightning, or a dimension where the divine power of Asgard is weakened. However, Thor is no fool when it comes to battle. Thousands of years of warfare have taught him how to recognize and break magical traps, and the power of the Odin Force allows him to bend reality and escape unfavorable situations. If the battle were to drag on and both began using their highest sources of power, Thor would have a clear advantage. The Odin Force at full power transforms Thor into an entity capable of manipulating reality on a multiversal scale, a level of power that Skeletor's dark magic cannot match. Rune King Thor, with the ability to see and manipulate every thread of fate, would completely overwhelm Skeletor, because all of his plans and traps could be seen in advance and neutralized. However, Rune King Thor is an extremely rare state that requires a great sacrifice, so Thor cannot always access it. Thor would still have the advantage. With access to the Odin Force and the support of Asgard, Thor could prepare countermeasures against dark magic, from protective runes to specially forged weapons designed to counter dark energy. Skeletor, despite being a master planner, would struggle to find a way to completely neutralize the power of an Asgardian god at his peak. Thor is a god forged through countless battles to the death. He has died and been reborn multiple times, faced the most powerful entities in the universe, and still remained standing. He carries within him the power of Asgard, the protection of Odin, and the will of a warrior who never surrenders. Skeletor, despite his power and intelligence, remains an entity limited by his own madness and ambition. Therefore, based on my analysis, Thor would be the last one standing in this battle. Skeletor would fight brilliantly, using every trick and every form of magic at his disposal to make things difficult for Thor, and he could potentially inflict significant injuries on the God of Thunder. However, as the battle dragged on and both began to exhaust their power, Thor's divine strength and unbreakable will would overcome Skeletor's dark magic. One final strike of the hammer, infused with the power of thunder and the Odin Force, would break through all of Skeletor's magical defenses, knock the Havoc Staff from his hands, and bring the battle to an end.
I hope you enjoyed this battle. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments section. Follow me if you enjoyed it. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much.